This episode is for the busy woman who knows that somehow, some way, she has got to get back to taking better care of herself, but she has no idea how she's going to get started with everything she has going on. If you are someone who hears the term self-care and it makes you want to vomit because it's just another thing on your endless to-do list, this is the perfect episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to share very short, bite-sized, tangible, take-home tips that you can implement into even the busiest of lives that are going to get you back to feeling like you again before you know it. Sound good? Here we go. So first, I want to summarize some of the last few episodes because there's a lot of really, really good take-home tips that are really important to make sure that you're incorporating. You're going to take a much deeper dive by listening to them first. They're very short. They're about 15 minutes. They're perfect for the busy women. So go ahead and click on them below and listen to those first and then come back. Remember, when we can reconnect with ourselves and strengthen that relationship, we can strengthen every single relationship in our lives. Somewhere along the lines, I don't know why or where this happened, but we as women were taught that taking care of ourselves was selfish. I don't know why we all took that on, but together I want to flip that narrative on its head. Literally feeding ourselves first, nurturing our souls before moving on to help others is one of the most selfless things that we can do. Think about this in your own life. Think about how and why serving yourself first can actually help others. So think about the times where you've been completely burnt out, stressed, fried, frustrated, and perhaps you came home to a spouse, a partner, a loved one. How did you show up? Did you have room for them? Could you support them? Could you even be present with them? If you're a parent and you're in this state and you go home to your children, what ends up happening? I know in our home, if I come in the house feeling that way, it's like everybody feeds off my energy and all of a sudden we have a tornado in the house and the kids who are maybe doing just fine are now lit up just like I am, not in a good way. So together from this episode and from the previous episodes, we are saying goodbye to frustration, burnout, and feeling guilty about taking care of ourselves. In episode 36, we started by identifying our inner voice. This is the first and most important step in creating a deeper connection with yourself. I encourage you to become the observer of this inner voice that is here all the time, guiding and narrating our lives. I encourage you to personify this inner voice. Describe this person. Who is she? What is she like? How does she show up? How would you characterize her? If you were describing her to another friend who was wondering if she should spend time with this person, what would you say? Is this inner voice kind of bitey and maybe judgmental and critical? Is this a person you would want to spend your day with? Probably not, but the crazy thing is this inner voice has been with us for every waking moment of every single day of our entire lives. And the thing that a lot of us have failed to consider, and it's what we're going to do in here together, is that we could take this inner voice and this inner person from being frustrated, bitey, and maybe critical to being one of our best, most reliable, most favorite guides and friends that we have with us at all times. I'm so excited for you to get to experience this. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself and everyone around you. In episode 37, we took this even a step further. We got out our journals and we made 2 columns and we started to identify how our voice was showing up in either a masculine way or a feminine way. So stick with me for this one. This is really important. So we all have within us an inner voice that has masculine tones and feminine tones. So when the inner voice shows up in a masculine way, it's going to be linear, objective. This is usually like a voice of obligation. This is usually when we're judging ourselves or critiquing ourselves or others. These are often memories of thoughts or interpretations by our mothers, our fathers, our teachers, our preachers, things that we should do in order to be a good person, a good partner, a good friend, a good coworker. Whereas our feminine voice, which is our intuition, is a much quieter voice usually. This has become a whisper because we stopped listening to it. Whether you're a man or woman, you have both of these aspects to your inner voice. The feminine voice is going to be more nurturing. This is going to be the kind of voice that shows up like wanting to spend maybe a few more minutes in the morning, taking time enjoying a warm beverage. Or if you're in like a really great hot shower and you just don't want to get out and get the day started, that's going to be the voice that's like you're kind of reasoning with to get yourself out, to get the day going. The masculine voice is going to be more the one that's like, you should get out of the shower. You've got emails to do. You've got breakfast to make. You shouldn't take this time for yourself when your friend needs you. You should catch up on all those emails. It's unfair to others that you're not doing what you need to be doing. Listen, at the end of the day, if you're listening to this, you're someone who is extremely responsible. You're not one who drops the ball. And what I want to help encourage you to do, and we're going to get there in this episode, so stick with me, is start to listen and trust, leaning on the intuitive voice, the nurturing voice, a little bit more than the masculine, which is the one that we've all tend to listen to for far too long. Doing this slowly over time, that inner voice is going to get louder and louder and is going to become one of the best guides in our lives. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. Lastly, in episode 38, we reconnected to our inner child. This is some of the most effective and fun work that you could ever do in your life. So I encourage you to print out a few pictures of yourself at a young age and stick them in places where you would see through the regular day. So your mirror, maybe the dashboard in your car, on your dresser. I encourage you to journal and really think back and remember some of the things that you loved to do when you were little. Did you like to ride your bike? Did you have a sport that you loved that you've always wanted to get back to? Did you like to sing? Did you like to dance? And then we talked about bringing some of that back into our lives. For any of you that have followed me for any number of time on my socials, you've definitely seen me doing gymnastics, and doing the inner child work is what helped me get back to the gymnasium after 3 decades of being away. And it's one of the best things I've ever done for myself. So in episode 38, we talked about squeezing in little moments throughout the day, between emails, between work tasks in the home, whatever, to reconnect with your inner child. I want you to write this down. This is such an important concept. Connecting with your inner child is the gateway to our intuition. Okay, now we're going to get right into the concepts and the takeaways and your homework for the week. So I want you to go ahead and grab your journal if you haven't already. If you haven't yet got a journal, I definitely encourage you to get one. There's so much we're going over that you're going to want to be able to constantly go back to between episodes. If you don't have one, go ahead and just push pause, grab some pen, paper, just something to write with, and then make sure you keep it somewhere safe so that you can reference back later. All right, so step 1 for today's episode starts with building trust. We're going to build back trust in ourselves. I want you to slowly start to put your intuition at the driver's seat of your life. We're going to start small, so don't get worried. It's all good. So next time you have a decision to make, and it doesn't have to be a major decision, it's obviously easier to get started with a small, easy decision like what you want for lunch. You're going to start to give yourself one of 2 choices. First, I want to share a statistic with you, and this is crazy. So research shows that the average adult makes 35,000 conscious decisions every single day. 35,000 conscious decisions. So that means we're making even more than that when we incorporate our unconscious decisions that we make every day based on our previous programming. So at some point during your day, you're going to hit something that I like to call decision fatigue. So this is when you are just so fried, so over it, you don't care, and you don't want to make another single decision. This is probably somewhere around decision 33,500. For a lot of us, I think this decision is usually something that pops up around dinner time. Whether you cook for yourself, your partner, your spouse, your family, your children, this is usually a time by the end of the week that you're just done. So this is a great time to try this step out and put your intuition at the driver's seat. Okay, so let's walk through this example. Let's say it's the end of the week. You have obviously cooking healthy for yourself. Your family is important to you. You've done it all week long. It's Thursday, Friday night. You have a fridge full of groceries. You have ample ingredients to make a healthy dinner, but you're just done. So you're going to give yourself 2 choices in this moment. And one is typically going to be the one you feel like you should do, the masculine voice. And the other is going to be what you actually want to do, which is going to be when you listen to your intuition, your heart, your inner voice. So in this instance, I would say that one choice would probably be, okay, well, I can get it together and I can get the ingredients out of the fridge and I can whip something up that my kids are probably going to complain about and nobody's going to eat. And I'm going to have a huge mess in the kitchen for yet another night. Or I can order in. And what I want you to do in this moment is try to get out of your head. Try not to judge yourself for the decision that you actually want to choose. I want you to ground your feet about shoulder width apart. Get really like stand firm and grounded. I want you to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath in and out, and ask yourself, what is it that I actually want in this moment? Or you could even say, what is it that I actually need in this moment? That's usually what I do. What do I need in this moment? And then the most important step of this is to take action, whatever that answer is. So probably what you actually need at that moment is to order in food, to not have to deal with cooking another night, and just go with it. If, as this is new to you, even with those two choices, if you're like all in your head and it's hard for you to make the decision, just always defer to the one that feels better to your soul, even though it might not feel like the more responsible choice. Listen, if you are listening to this episode, you're a responsible woman. You're constantly holding it all together. You're juggling all the balls. It's okay to let this go every now and then. It's okay. What I want you to do later that day, after letting your intuition take the wheel, I want you to look back and assess, or maybe the next day. Did the world fall apart? Did your home fall apart? Did your family fall apart? Did you fall apart? I'm willing to bet none of that happened, and probably actually you finally fell together. You might have felt more calm, more peaceful. If you have children, maybe that meant instead of cleaning up a kitchen full of dishes, you actually got to hang out with them and play. Maybe you had game night instead of like everyone yelling at each other and dealing with the messy kitchen. I want you to just assess and look back, and probably what you're gonna see is that it went better than it would have gone had you leaned on what you should have done. The more and more we start to listen to this intuition, the louder it's going to get and the easier it's going to be for us to make these decisions. Now, why does this become important? Why does it become important to let this voice get louder? How does it influence our life if we can tap in right away and make the decision quickly and access that intuition all throughout our days, our lives, without having to struggle for it? I'm gonna tell you right now, connecting to our inner voice, our intuition, is what's gonna prevent us from losing ourselves and our obligations and our opportunities. Listening to our inner voice is what allows us to have boundaries. It helps us start to leverage and understand that standing up for what we need and what we deserve doesn't make us a bad or selfish person. It actually makes us more grounded, calm, and connected. This creates the ability in us to not only not burn out, but to serve others from a really high level. This is the ultimate selfless thing that we can do for the world. It's such a flip of the narrative, right? So think about it this way. I want to give you another example. Have you ever gone to, say, like a checkout line at a grocery store or something like that, and the person working the cash register has clearly like been fed up with their day? They are so edgy. I'll use the word edgy. They're so edgy and angry and nasty that you can't help but leave there feeling upset and irritated. It's like they don't even look at you. They're just treating everyone and everything around them like garbage and like spreading their emotions and their energy on everyone they interact with. Now flip that. Have you ever been around someone who is so completely present with you, who is so there with you and listening to everything you're saying that you can't help but leave feeling so loved, seen, understood, and validated? So what's the difference between those two people? Well, the person that can be 100% fully present with you only has the ability to do that because they're willing to take time to be 100% present with themselves. So this whole episode, my goal is to help you understand that this is not about being selfish. This is about being self-with. My goal for you is to get you more comfortable spending time with yourself, sticking up for yourself, listening to yourself and your needs. Because when we can do that, when we can first start our day by filling our own cup, we have so much left over to not only serve others, but to serve them on such a high level. These concepts I taught in this episode are all free. They're all really easy, and they're all things that you can literally do at any point in any aspect of any day. These are for the busy woman, and this is what self-care truly is. Self-care is not bubble baths. It's not massages. It's having the ability to tune into ourselves, to listen to ourselves, and then to take action from a place of wholeness based on what we want, need, and deserve. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button below. As always, I love to hear your feedback. You can put that in the comments underneath. Make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss any future episodes in the busyness of your life. And most importantly, I know as you were listening to this episode, there was at least one other woman in your life that you were like, she needs to hear this information. Go ahead and hit that share button, copy link, and send this episode her way so she can benefit as well. Thank you so much. See you soon.